The following WCIA3 sports presentation is brought to you by Lum & Ray Insurance Group and Illinois State University. This is the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show.
Welcome to the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. I'm Brett Behrens. Marley Weirda and Andy Olson will join me here momentarily as we get set for the return of the postseason. We'll hear from area teams, players, and coaches in the next 30 minutes, but here are the stars of the show. Hall of Famer Stan Wienke and future Hall of Famer Mike Allen, the two-time state champion coach of Gibson City, Melvin Sibley. Gentlemen, thanks for your time being here. Let's start with this. We're talking playoff football. We couldn't say that a year ago.
It's nice to finally talk about it again. Having that during the COVID, not getting it last year, the kids were excited and then had to shut down last year. So it's nice to get an opportunity to be back on the field and be in the playoffs again.
Stan, what's it mean for you?
Well, it seems like a long year and a half, and not being an active head coach, it has been hectic as an assistant. So I can't imagine what the head coaches, Mike and Andy and those kind of guys have gone through.
All right, let's set the stage here for what's to come in the next 30 minutes as the state finals are Thanksgiving weekend in DeKalb. They switch back and forth every year between U of I's Memorial Stadium and Husky Stadium. With no playoffs last year, Champaign lost out on a chance to host. 256 teams from across the state found out their draw on Saturday's pairing show that you saw on our sister station, WCIX 49. 33 WCIA3 viewing area teams are in and still have a chance to win a state title. 3 of those are 1 seeds in St. Teresa, Unity, and Rochester. The playoff points qualifier cutoff was 34. The last team to make the field in the state was Villa Grove. The Blue Devils finished at 5-4, and with 34 playoff points, or otherwise known as opponents' wins, Warrensburg-Latham was the only team in the state with 5 wins not to get in. The Cardinals had 31 playoff points. There was some talk that 4 and 5 teams or less, such as Tuscola, could find a way into that field, but that didn't pan out. The Warriors missed 2 weeks of games on a COVID pause. Mike, how did you deal with all those ups and downs of playing through a pandemic this fall?
It was just one of those things that you had to enjoy and appreciate the time you did have. Each day you went out to practice knowing that you could be shut down any time. So the kids just took advantage of the time they had and had fun and enjoyed themselves.
All right, our coaches breaking down the brackets. Let's get to it. We'll start in 1A, work our way up to 6. Here's the 1A North bracket. Just one area team involved here. That's Iroquois West as an 8 seed playing Monmouth United. More on the Raiders coming up in just a moment. Half of the teams in the 1A South bracket are local squads. Villa Grove makes a long trip to Camp Point Central. Central A&M visits Nokomis. Cumberland and Brown County will meet Arcola and West Central. Shelbyville, a 15 seed, taking on 2 seed Carrollton, Salt Fork and Greenville Northwestern, and Athens and Meridian. Stan, you're breaking down the 1A bracket for us, and you like a couple of second-round regular season rematches between Camp Point Central and Central A&M, along with Cumberland and Arcola.
Well, the Arcola game, we happened to play them the first game of the season, and I've watched them a couple times since then, and they're getting better exactly at the right time. I think they're going to win their first round game and set up a game against Cumberland in the second round. Yeah, the quarterfinals, you got the seeds holding with CPC and Cumberland as well, and the Pirates have a good squad. Pirates do have a good squad. They're very athletic, very good quarterback, a lot of good receivers. The line is definitely solid. We played them in week 2, and they're good enough to go 2 or 3 rounds.
All right, we mentioned Iroquois West earlier, back in the postseason for the first time since 2006. WCI3's Andy Olson joins us now. You had a chance to go talk with them, and they are excited to be back.
Yeah, I mean, last time the Raiders were here, they were just a few years removed from their first state title. After a decade of no more than 2 wins in a season, a member of that state championship team has helped them back to the postseason.
Only the oldest seniors on Iroquois West were even born when now head coach Jason Teal was himself a senior on the Raiders, helping lead them to the 2003 2A state title.
They ask questions all the time. They watch the game on YouTube, and I remember it like it was yesterday too, so I know what they're talking about.
The Raiders are now returning to the postseason for the first time in 15 years after winning 7 games, as many as they've had total since 2014. In only his second season in charge, Teal has made a point of starting with changing the team culture.
My freshman year, it was a lot different. Everyone just assumed we were going to lose, everyone in the school, community. And us finally being able to kind of change that it's made a huge difference to everyone.
Big wins over Clifton Central and Hoopston area propelled them into playoff eligibility. The team is, of course, happy to finally end the drought, but they might be most happy to finally give their fans another playoff team to root for.
Just being able to bring playoff football back to the community and being a part of that with this great team, it's an honor.
It's been so long that I forgot the feeling, because before that, they never missed. Looking forward to Saturday like more than anything for a long time.
Teal says they only lose a couple of guys for next season, including Illinois commit Clayton Leonard. He's hoping they can keep the momentum rolling for next year.
No doubt about it. Andy, thanks. Let's take a look at Stan's Final Four. You've got Forreston and Carrollton playing in the top half. Camp Point Central and Carrollton at the bottom with Forreston and Carrollton there. Stan, who you got for the state title in 1A?
I've got Forreston. They're just a good team. They've played some really good teams so far. Carrollton's sort of my loyalty pick. I really liked Coach Flowers and all that they've done at Carrollton, but I think Forreston gets this.
All right, time for our first break on the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show, but we've got so much more to come. The 2 and 3A brackets are next with predictions for both classes from the coaches. Plus, we hear from 2 of the area's top seeds in St. Teresa and Unity.
We didn't have playoffs last year. We got snubbed, so this year said we'll do it again. We're here again. We're ready to go all the way.
That and more straight ahead as the countdown to kickoff this weekend is on.
Watching the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show.
We are on to the Class 2A bracket. Mike, your teams have gone north several times. Stan, it seems like your teams usually went south. I want to know the difference between playing north and south. It doesn't really matter what class it's in.
I believe probably physicality, wouldn't you think, Coach?
I totally agree. Playing both north and south, I think physicality is something you really notice, especially after you get by the first round.
Mike is helping us break down 2A. Here's what we're working with. First to the north, the only team on that side is 12 seed Clifton Central. The Comets go to Erie Prophetstown, also the hometown of Illini coach Brett Bielema. The South has 7 local teams. We'll circle back to the #1 ranked team in the state. In that class, that is St. Teresa in just a moment. But some fun first and second round matchups here. 2 seed Pana draws Arthur Lovington at Wood Hammond. Maroa Forsyth welcomes in Westville as well, with Bismarck Henning, the 3 seed, taking on North Mac here. Mike, you've got what should be a fun second round game between Pana and Maroa Forsyth. That's a high-powered showdown for a second round.
Really is. Both teams mirror each other. Pana has a 43 points average scoring, only giving up 10 points, where Maroa Forsyth's averaging 45, giving up 12 points. So both teams mirror each other. It would be a great second round showdown. Maybe
a quarterfinal or semifinal match at that in a lot of years. All right, we'll get Mike's prediction of that game coming up. But for more on the Panthers, we welcome in WCIA3's Marley Weirda. And for the second time in the last 6 years, they are 9-0 in the regular season.
And a big part of the Panthers' success this year comes from their dual threat quarterback, and he's looking to etch his name in the Pana record books in more ways than one.
Max Lynch wasn't even in the 6th grade yet, but Panthers head coach Trevor Higgins already had expectations.
The most athletic kid needs to be your quarterback. And so basically watching him play, you kind of knew he was going to be a quarterback.
And he's come a long way since playing junior football. With Lynch at quarterback, the Panthers are averaging more than 43 points per game. He's already broken 2 school records with 16 rushing touchdowns and more than 1,000 rushing yards this season.
It really wouldn't have meant anything to me if we didn't go 9-0, but I'm glad my team got to be a part of it because they helped me all the way through it.
With 16 touchdown passes and just 1 interception, the junior hopes to continue leading the Panthers through a deep postseason run. It's something this upperclassmen group feels destined to do.
We knew we had something special coming in to high school, and now it's actually coming to fruition, so it's nice to see.
And they say the best part of it all would be getting somewhere Pana has never been before.
State championship. I know ever since my grade was in 5th grade, and the class above us was in 6th grade. Everyone's talked about this season, and they said that should be our destiny, so we're trying to fulfill it.
The Panthers have made 19 appearances in the playoffs, but they're looking to get past the quarterfinals for the first time in program history.
All right, we'll see if they can get it done. Mike, the Panthers are the 2 seed, but you like Maroa Forsyth pulling the second round upset, then taking down BHRA to advance.
Yes, I have Maroa Forsyth advancing to play St. Teresa in the semis, and then going from there, and I have St. Teresa winning that game.
All right, on paper, everyone in the state is chasing the Bulldogs. They have been at the top of the 2A rankings pretty much all season. At 9-0, they're loaded with several big-time difference makers, led by running back Denham Cook. Longtime coach Mark Ramsey has been in this position before. He has 6 state title game appearances. That sounds nice, right, guys? With 1 championship, he says this year's team certainly has a great shot to make a deep run. They're outscoring opponents nearly 7-1.
Anytime you go undefeated, it's already a special year, and you know, we haven't played perfect football, and that's what we're always striving to do.
We're going to keep it game by game and not look too far ahead. that's the #1 goal, and just see how far we can go.
Tired of losing in the last round. Our expectations right now is just win every game 1 by 1 and try to get to state.
Here is the path for St. Teresa. If the Bulldogs are going to advance, they'll have to beat Flora Vandalia and Breeze Mater Dei to get to that point. And Mike, you've got them there with 13 seed Bishop Mac out of Kankakee. They're 5-4, but way better than the record indicates. They advance in your bracket along with St. Teresa over Moreau Forsyth. How did you get to this point, and who do you like to win it all, Mike?
I have St. Teresa winning it all. It's just one of those games. I think it's going to come down to nutrition at the end. Even though McNamara, they play in a bigger conference, bigger schedule, I think their kids have had some injuries this year, and I look for St. Teresa to win it all. And
Stan, you've seen St. Teresa up close and personal, right?
Seen them plenty of times. The game between them and Rose, it'll be a classic. It has been every time they've ever played, and I don't think this one's going to be any different than Bishop Mac. It's just going to be a tough road.
All right, let's go right into the 3A bracket. Prairie Central, the 7 seed on the north side, as the Hawks host Chicago King. Byron, the top seed there. 6 teams from our area go south. Let's start from the bottom and work our way up. The Monticello Sages draw the 6th seed. They will host Greenville. And Stan, you've got the Sages winning their first game but losing the next one.
Yeah, they've got an exceptional quarterback. The Sprinkle kid is really, really good. This one is hard for me to pick. They could win 3 games. They're not very big. They're just built a lot on quickness and speed, and they've got the receivers and they've got the QB, so that's a pretty good place to start.
And with what I've learned in the past, you shouldn't bet against Coley Welter, right?
Don't bet against Coley.
Yeah, exactly. At 5-4, St. Joseph Ogden is the 15 seed and will travel to Mount Carmel. Hoopston area returns to the postseason for the first time since 1993. They're rewarded with a long trip south to face the Fairfield Mules. Williamsville in there as the 4 seed. Then a fun quad here as top seed Unity takes on Newton with a second-round matchup against Paxton Buckley Loda. If the seeds hold, that would be a Week 8 rematch when the Rockets won 35-0. What's the hardest part about playing a team twice, Mike?
I think you're at an advantage if you get beat the first time and it was a close game. You know what you can do to correct those mistakes, and I think that whoever loses that first game might have that advantage. It's still widespread, 35-0, but Coach Pritchard's done a nice job at PBL, and you can't count those guys out. They're having a great season.
The Rockets are certainly confident. They come into the postseason as the Illini Prairie Conference champions, 9-0 for the first time since 2009. It's the 7th time that Coach Scott Hamilton's team has finished the regular season undefeated, including the spring season when they went 5-0. That means the program hasn't lost a game in nearly 2 years.
I feel like every time we're on this turf and on our home and have our fans, we're unstoppable, I feel like.
Just a great opportunity for us, for our school, our kids, the community to get back into some playoff football, and the 9-0, whether it's 9-0 or 5-4, like I tell the kids, you try to get to this position where you get to play another week.
All right, guys, time for the 3A picks. And Stan, you've got Unity and Mount Carmel playing in the semifinals with a chance to advance. Who do you like there to go to DeKalb?
I like Unity. I just think they're playing awfully well. And like you said, they went through the spring unblemished. And, I think a lot of people always look at the players. But I'm telling you what, Coach Hamilton and his staff is so solidified over the last 25 years. I would never vote against them.
Sure.
Never vote against them.
No doubt about it. In the top half, you've got Byron and IC Catholic, Unity and Mount Carmel. So who are you picking here to win? This is a really, really tough bracket this year.
Unity's going to hate me, but I've got to go with IC Catholic, but I want Unity to win so bad. But I'll tell you what, I just had to pick one out of 3, Pecatonica and Byron. It may not be IC Catholic. There are 3 teams in there that play really good teams during the regular season, so IC Catholic may not make it nearly that far.
Mike, who do you like in 3A?
It's hard to go against IC Catholic. The schedule that they play, year in, year out, usually they play in probably 4 or 5A. So that for them to come down to 3A, I think they have a legitimate chance to win it.
Sure.
IC Catholic had an enrollment of 323, and their average opponent's enrollment was nearly 800.
Yeah.
So every week they were that way.
And the IHSA multiplier
no
certainly
multiplier this year, so that there's a lot of schools that were 600 2 years ago, or 1,200 2 years ago, and they're 600 or 500 now. So without a multiplier, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. That's classes 1 through 3, 4, 5, and 6. Still to come here, we'll check in with Muhammad Seymour coming up. But we go to the 2 states' best programs the past decade. That's Rochester and Sacred Heart Griffin. They're playing in the same class this year. Hear from both teams next.
You are watching the Friday
Rochester's run the past decade is truly historic. The Rockets have won 8 out of the last 10 state championships. Back in 2019, the last time the playoffs were held, they petitioned to go up a class to 5A, still brought home the top trophy. There's not many teams in the state that could do that. The Rockets are back at a loaded 4A this season and say they're more than ready to compete for the chance to advance to DeKalb once again, with Illinois commit and do-it-all player Hank Beatty leading the way.
There's no secret formula. It's you got to play good in 5 games. And not just kind of good, real good. You got to play good weather, bad weather, fast teams, big teams. You got to beat them all.
I mean, it weighs on us a little bit, but we kind of just we take it one game at a time. We really just try and make our own mark.
The Rockets' biggest rival, Sacred Heart Griffin, is also in 4A this season after the IHSA didn't extend the postseason multiplier for non-boundaried schools. The Cyclones' only loss was to Rochester in a 4-point game back in week 3. SHG says it would love a rematch. That wouldn't come until the semifinals, but there's a long way to go before then.
After the Rochester game, we challenged our kids. We talked about 8-1. That was our goal, and we got there, and I think we got there in a pretty impressive manner.
After that game, we came out, dominated everything else. After that game, it was a realization that we had to come out and beat every team by a lot.
Let's take a look at the 4A bracket. All 4 of our area teams on the south side. Rochester at the top. If they win, and we presume they will, they'll get the winner of Mount Zion and Paris. And Mike, you like the Tigers advancing to face the Rockets in the second round.
I do. I like them going up to face Rochester, but I pick Rochester to win. With 8 championships, state championships, it's hard to pick against Derek Leonard.
And Mike, we can only hope this game is played. The Leonard Bowl in the state semifinals with a chance to go to the championship game would be one for the ages, and you're taking the Rockets.
I'm still taking the Rockets. I'm taking the son to beat the dad. With those 2 teams, with those programs, 13 titles between the 2 of them. Springfield has a 50-point scoring average, and I think Rochester has a 44. So it's going to be a heck of a showdown, and hopefully they get to that game.
Stan, what do you make of the Leonard Bowl and what that is? Can you even imagine trying to play your son in that?
No, well, all the times that they've played, I can't imagine playing either one of them any day, but I picked the Rockets. I think they're going to have it. I think going north and playing the day or that weekend that they did not have a game actually will help them, even though they lost it pretty easily. I think it'll be big. But I'd love to be a fly on the wall and hear these 2 scouting reports after a life.
Yeah.
The entire life of each other.
It's pretty epic of what they've been able to do. All right, after our final timeout, we're checking in on classes 5 and 6A. 5 teams still to talk about, including Muhammad Seymour, the Bulldogs, making history this season.
I knew from day one that this thing was going to be something special. I kind of expected all this to happen.
More from Muhammad Seymour, straight ahead.
You are watching the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show.
We're right back into the brackets in 5A. The only 2 teams in the area, Jacksonville and Muhammad Seymour. The Crimson are back in the postseason for the first time since 2016. But they face an undefeated Bulldogs team looking to make a run. If the seeds hold, the Bulldogs would face Triad in the second round. Muhammad Seymour went 9-0 in the regular season for the first time since 2004. That season they lost in the quarters. In his 3rd year on the job, head coach John Atkins has elevated the program to where it used to be after making the postseason 15 times in 16 years from 2002 to 2017. The Bulldogs are back in and expect to compete well into November.
As a senior, it always means probably the most, and it's crazy to all the guys. We haven't had this type of a season since I've been in high school.
It feels great. I feel like the community, a lot more people come out to the games, and really nice to, finally after a tough stretch there, to finally be good again.
The Bulldogs have a talented team. How much pressure do you guys feel being 9-0 going into the postseason? I think you can take that one of 2 ways. You expect to be there and compete, or there's pressure because everyone expects you to compete.
Well, I think it's definitely different. It's the first time. If it's the first time you've been 9-0 in a long time. But as a coach, if you get 9-0 2 or 3 or 4 times, it gets a whole lot easier.
Mike, what about for you?
I like how he says the first time, multiple times. It's tough. It's a lot of pressure on the kids that you have to try to talk them out of that pressure and make sure that they're not listening to everything and just play football. You don't want to add any more pressure than it's already there. And when you have your community supporting you and coming to all the games, that's a lot of pressure for teenage kids.
All right, we are on to our final bracket in 6A. 3 area teams. Springfield visits Rock Island. Glenwood makes a long trip north to Crete-Monee. And Centennial returns to the postseason for the first time since 2015. They will face Chicago Kenwood. Kyle Jackson has the Chargers playing in Week 10. And they 38 will make a trip to historic Lane Stadium. The 8-man game is picking up steam across the state. 4 area teams are in contention for a title in the separate playoffs from the 11-man game. Milford Cissna Park takes on Pawnee here. Decatur LSA, a 13 seed, with West Central. And we've got St. Thomas More down at the bottom with Martinsville, the 6. Our Tackle Hunger campaign was a big success. More than $7,200 were raised at our spotlight games throughout the high school football season. Every dollar feeds one person a day, so that's enough to feed more than 7,200 people. The campaign was a partnership between WCIA3 and the Eastern Illinois Food Bank. Athlete of the Week is also back every Thursday night at 6. We honor an area high school student with a trophy for their accomplishments. Then they go into the running for a $500 scholarship. We'll award to one boy and one girl at the end of the school year. To nominate an athlete, head to our website, WCIA.com, to fill out this short form. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. For Marley Weirda, Andy Olson, Stan Wienke, and Mike Allen, I'm Brett Barron saying good night and enjoy the postseason. We leave you with a look back at some of the top plays from this year.